Bukhara is one of the cities of Uzbekistan. Bukhara is a city museum, with about 140 architectural monuments. The nation's fifth largest city, it had a population as of 24 April 2014 update of approximately 272,710. Humans have inhabited the region around Bukhara for at least 5 millennia, and the city has existed for half that time. Located on the Silk Road, the city has long served as a center of trade, scholarship, culture, and religion. UNESCO has listed the historic center of Bukhara as a World Heritage Site. Names: Bukhara was known as Bukhara in 19th and early 20th century English publications and as Puhay in Tang Chinese. According to the Encyclopedia Iranica, the name Bukhara is possibly derived from the Sogdian beta Uxaric, which in turn is derived from Sanskrit vihara, which means Buddhist monasteries. Bukhara emerged as an urban center of Buddhism in the ancient times along the Silk Route in Central Asia. Muhammad ibn Jafar Arshaki in his History of Bukhara mentions, Bukhara has many names. One of its name was Numijikat. It has also been called Bumiskat. It has two names in Arabic. One is Madinat al-Sufriya, meaning the Copper City, and another is Madinat al-Tujar, meaning the City of Merchants. But the name Bukhara is more known than all the other names. In Khorasan, there is no other city with so many names since the Middle Ages. The city has been known as Bukhara in Arabic and Persian sources. The modern Uzbek spelling is Bukhara. History. The history of Bukhara stretches back millennia. It is now the capital of Bukhara region of Uzbekistan. Located on the Silk Road, the city has long been a center of trade, scholarship, culture, and religion. During the golden age of the Samanids, Bukhara became the intellectual center of the Islamic world. The historic center of Bukhara, which contains numerous mosques and madrasas, has been listed by UNESCO as one of the World Heritage Sites. Bukhara has been one of the main centers of world civilization from its early days in 6th century BCE. From the 6th century CE, Turkic speakers gradually moved in. Its architecture and archaeological sites form one of the pillars of Central Asian history and art. The region of Bukhara was a part of the Persian Empire for a long time. The origin of many of its current inhabitants goes back to the period of Aryan immigration into the region. The Samanid Empire seized Bukhara, the capital of Greater Khorasan, in 903 CE. Genghis Khan besieged Bukhara for 15 days in 1220 CE. Bukhara was the last capital of the Emirate of Bukhara and was besieged by the Red Army during the Russian Civil War. During the Bukhara operation of 1920, an army of well-disciplined and well-equipped Red Army troops under the command of Bolshevik General Mikhail Frunze attacked the city of Bukhara. On 31 August 1920, the Emir Alam Khan fled to Dushanbe in eastern Bukhara. On 2 September 1920, after 4 days of fighting, the Emir's citadel was destroyed. The red flag was raised from the top of Kalyan Minaret. On 14 September 1920, the All-Bukharan Revolutionary Committee was set up, headed by A. Mukhitdinov. The government, the Council of People's Nazirs, was presided over by Faisullah Kojev. The Bukharan People's Soviet Republic existed from 1920 to 1925 when the city was integrated into the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic. Fitzroy MacLean, then a young diplomat in the British Embassy in Moscow, made a surreptitious visit to Bukhara in 1938, sightseeing and sleeping in parks. In the latter half of the 20th century, the war in Afghanistan and civil war in Tajikistan brought Daryan Tajik-speaking refugees into Bukhara and Samarkand. After integrating themselves into the local Tajik population, these cities face a movement for annexation into Tajikistan with which the cities have no common border. Major sites: Poai Kalan complex. The title Poai Kalan belongs to the architectural complex located at the base of the Great Minaret Kalan, Kalyan Minaret. more properly, Menara-i-Kalin, also known as the Tower of Death, as arguably for centuries criminals were executed by being thrown off the top. The minaret is most famed part of the ensemble, which dominates over historical center of the city in form of a huge vertical pillar. The role of the minaret is largely for traditional and decorative purposes. Its dimension exceeds the bounds of the main function of the minaret, which is to provide a vantage point from which the muezzin can call out people to prayer. For this purpose it was enough to ascend to a roof of mosque. This practice was common in initial years of Islam. The word minaret descends to Arabic minara. Probably an idea of minarets of Islam was adopted from fire towers, or lighthouses of previous epochs. The architect, whose name was simply Bako, made a minaret in the form of a circular pillar brick tower, narrowing upwards, of 9 meters diameter at the bottom, 6 meters overhead and 45.6 meters high. There is a brick spiral staircase that twists up inside around the pillar, leading to the landing and 16-arched rotunda skylight, which based on a magnificent stalactite cornice. Kalin Mosque, arguably completed in 1514, is equal to the Bibi Khanim Mosque in Samarkand in size. The mosque is able to accommodate 12,000 people. Although Kalyan Mosque and Bibi Khanim Mosque of Samarkand are of the same type of building, they are different in terms of art of building. 288 monumental pylons serve as a support for the multi-domed roofing of the galleries encircling the courtyard of Kalyan Mosque. The longitudinal axis of the courtyard ends up with a portal to the main chamber with a cruciform hall, topped with a massive blue cupola on a mosaic drum. The edifice keeps many architectural curiosities, for example, a hole in one of domes. Through this hole, one can see foundation of Kalyan minaret. Then, moving back step by step, one can count all belts of brickwork of the minaret to the rotunda. Mir-i-Arab Madrasa. The construction of Mir-i-Arab Madrasa is ascribed to Sheikh Abdullah Yamani of Yemen, called Mir-i-Arab, the spiritual mentor of Ubaydullah Khan, and his son Abdulaziz Khan. Ubaydullah Khan waged permanent successful war with Iran. At least 3 times his troops seized Herat. Each of such plundering raids on Iran was accompanied by capture of great many captives. They say that Ubaydullah Khan had invested money gained from redemption of more than 3,000 Persian captives into construction of Mir-i-Arab Madrasa. Ubaydullah Khan was very religious. He had been nurtured in high respect for Islam in the spirit of Sufism. His father named him in honor of prominent sheikh of the 15th century Ubaydullah al-Amareh, by origin from Tashkent region. By the 30s of the 16th century, the time when sovereigns erected splendid mausoleums for themselves and for their relatives, was over. Khans of Shaibanid dynasty were standard-bearers of Quran traditions. The significance of religion was so great that even such famed Khan as Ubaydullah was conveyed to earth close by his mentor in his madrasa. In the middle of the vault in Mir-i-Arab Madrasa is situated the wooden tomb of Ubaydullah Khan. At his head is wrapped in the molds his mentor, Mir-i-Arab Muhammad Qasim. Mudaris of the madrasa is also interred nearby here. The portal of Mir-i-Arab Madrasa is situated on one axis with the portal of the Kalyan Mosque. However, because of some lowering of the square to the east, it was necessary to raise a little an edifice of the madrasa on a platform. Ismail Samana Mausoleum. The Ismail Samana Mausoleum, one of the most esteemed sites of Central Asian architecture, was built in the 9th century as the resting place of Ismail Samana, the founder of the Samanid dynasty, the last Persian dynasty to rule in Central Asia, which held the city in the 9th and 10th centuries. Although in the first instance the Samanids were governors of Khorasan and Marwara UNNAHR under the suzerainty of the Abbasid Caliphate, the dynasty soon established virtual independence from Baghdad. Chashma Ayub Mausoleum. Chashma Ayub is located near the Samana Mausoleum. Its name in Persian means Job's spring due to the legend according to which Job visited this place and brought forth a spring of water by the blow of his staff on the ground. The water of this well is still pure and is considered healing. The current building was constructed during the reign of Timur and features a Khwarazm-style conical dome uncommon in Bukhara. Lab-i-Hawz. The Lab-i-Hawz ensemble is the name of the area surrounding one of the few remaining hawz in the city of Bukhara. Until the Soviet period there were many such ponds, which were the city's principal source of water, but they were notorious for spreading disease and were mostly filled in during the 1920s and 1930s. The Lab-i-Hawz survived because it is the centerpiece of a magnificent architectural ensemble, created during the 16th and 17th centuries, which has not been significantly changed since. The Lab-i-Hawz ensemble, surrounding the pond on three sides, consists of the Kukeldash Madrasa, the largest in the city, and of two religious edifices built by Nadir Divanbagi, a Khanaka, or lodging house for itinerant Sufis, and a madrasa that stand on the west and east sides of the pond respectively. There is also an interesting metal sculpture of Nasruddin Hodja, the quick-witted and warm-hearted man, who forms the central character of many children's folk stories in the Central Asian and Indian subcontinent, sitting atop his mule with one hand on his heart and the other with an "all okay" sign above his head. Bukhara Fortress. The Magoki Atori Mosque. The former Magoki Atori Mosque was constructed in the 9th century on the remains of an older Zoroastrian temple. It was destroyed and rebuilt more than once, and the oldest part now remaining is the south facade, which dates from the 12th century. One of the oldest surviving structures in Bukhara, lower than the surrounding ground, it was excavated in 1935. It is no longer used as a mosque and now houses a carpet museum. Portal to Palace, 1902. The Magoki Atari Mosque. Mosque of Ali El Hamadani in Bukhara. There is a masjid of Mir Saeed Ali Hamadani Charmina. Charmina is a beautiful building tucked away in one of the lanes a bit to northeast from the Lab-i-Hawz complex. This is the well-preserved structure built by Caliph Niyaz Kul, rich inhabitant of Bukhara, the Turkmen by origin. Some consider the structure with four towers as a gate to lost madrasa behind. However, on closer examination one can see that Charmina is all-sufficient complex of buildings that have at least two destinations, ritual and dwelling. Main edifice cornered with towers is a mosque. In spite of its unusual outward shape, the mosque has quite customary interior. Owing to cupola, the room has good acoustic properties. Therefore it takes on special significance of Dhikr Hana, a place for ritualized Dhikr ceremonies of Sufi, the liturgy of which often include recitation, singing, and instrumental music. On either side of a central edifice are located the dwelling rooms. Some of them collapsed, only basement remained. Consequently, the full functioning of madrasa only of classroom and some utility rooms is lacking. However, it was common practice that so-called madrasas had no lecture rooms or, even if they had, no lectures had been given in them. These madrasas were employed as student hospices. Each of four towers has different shape. Some say that elements of decoration reflect religious philosophical purport of four world religions. At least, one can easily find some elements are reminiscent of crossed Christian fish and Buddhist praying wheel. On the esplanade to the right from Charmina is a pool, most likely of the same age with the complex of buildings. Charmina is now surrounded mainly by small houses and shops on its perimeter. One may find an artisan or two selling a fine piece of hand-drawn paintings. Transportation. Bukhara Airport has regularly scheduled flights to cities in Uzbekistan and Russia. The M37 highway connects the city to most of the major cities in Turkmenistan, including Ashgabat. The city is also served by railroad links with the rest of Uzbekistan. Demographics. According to the official statistics, the city's population is 82% Uzbeks, 6% Russians, 4% Iranians, 3% Tatars, 1% Koreans, 1% Turkmens, 1% Ukrainians, 2% of other ethnicities. However, official Uzbek numbers have for long been criticized and refuted by various observers and Western sources, and it is widely assumed that the population of the city consists mainly of Persian-speaking Tajiks, with ethnic Uzbeks forming a growing minority. Exact figures are difficult to evaluate, since many people in Uzbekistan either identify as Uzbek, even though they speak Tajik as their first language, or because they are registered as Uzbeks by the central government despite their Tajik language and identity. According to Soviet estimates in the early 20th century, the Tajiks formed the overwhelming majority of city. Until the 20th century, Bukhara was also home to the Bukharan Jews, whose ancestors settled in the city during Roman times. Most Bukharan Jews left the city between 1925 and 2000 and settled in Israel and the United States of America. Decoder defines the name Bukhara itself as meaning full of knowledge, referring to the fact that in antiquity, Bukhara was a scientific and scholarship powerhouse. In the Italian Romantic epic Orlando Innamorato by Matteo Maria Boardo, Bukhara is called Albracca and described as a major city of Cathay. There, within its walled city and fortress, Angelica and the knights she has befriended make their stand when attacked by Agrican, Emperor of Tartary. As described, this siege by Agrican resembles the historic siege by Genghis Khan in 1220. Notable people. Many notable people lived in Bukhara in the past. Among them are Muhammad ibn Ismail ibn Ibrahim ibn al-Mughira ibn Bardiz al-Bukhari, Islamic scholar and compiler of hadiths. Avicenna, physician and philosopher. Balami, Abul Fazl Muhammad and his son Abu Ali Muhammad, two famous viziers of Samanid kings, historians and patrons of art and literature. Abu Bakr Nashaki, historian who wrote History of Bukhara. Sadruddin Muhammad Alfi, historian, scientist, and author. Hazrat Saeed Jalaluddin Sirkposh Bukhari. Bahauddin Naqshband Bukhari. Amir Kulil, Kiromi Bukhara, and Lushan. Sadruddin Aini, Fazullah Kodsayev, Abdurrauf Fitrate, Oksana Chusavitana, Saida Jal Shams al-Din Omar. Twin towns, sister cities. Nisa, Turkmenistan. Old Urgench, Turkmenistan. Merv, Turkmenistan. Gona Tepe, Turkmenistan. Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Kudyand, Tajikistan. Hamadan, Iran. Nishapur, Iran. Bork, Afghanistan. Santa Fe, New Mexico, United States. Gallery. Stork's nest at the top of the palace wall, before 1915. 16th century Tajizaga on Trade Dome. Al-Bukhari Memorial. Bukhara 2009. Bukhara 2009.